biggest decision in a decade.
And I've heard it's minutes away. It's coming.
It's coming, all right.
We're getting the verdict.
And we will be here till Thursday night footy if we have to for Hawthorn Cup. We are not leaving until this
we're not staying that way.
Speak for yourself. Some of us have got things on.
Well, we had a really good debate on Sunday on First Crack.
Yeah.
Joey, you and I are on the same wavelength in terms of what do you want Stephen May to do? Kingy's been very strong on there should be no head-high contact or you cop the whack. This one here, the AFL, their interpretation is he should have stopped, propped and changed direction. How can he possibly do that at full speed thinking he's going to get that ball in a split second?
That's the fabric of the game for me because this game is about winning a contest. And then you have to do it. It's not like a sport like basketball where one team has the ball, the other gets it. It is a contest and you have to make a decision to go for the ball. I would find it unrealistic to stay right there. He has to decide that he can't go for a ball because he might make contact in a situation where a ball could bounce either way. I think there was no other alternative in that situation. It's a football collision that's unavoidable, and I think it's realistic what he did in that situation.
If I had the speedo on him, and we can watch it a number of times, if we had the speedo on him right at the last point when he realises, I reckon he slows down. Not puts the brakes on at all. He just doesn't follow through like you would if he had the ball. If he had the ball, he would have tucked up and really made big contact.
Yeah.
But I think that split second when he didn't know he had the ball, he followed through. He could have protected himself and put his arm up. He could have done anything in that situation, but he continued on that line with his arms down.
Well, I see it differently. You've all heard my thoughts. And
what do you want the game to do?
I think some players have a happy knack of finding themselves striking players and bumping players or making contact with players in the absolute sweet spot every time. It's just an amazing coincidence.
But what do you want the game to tell the players to do in that situation?
Well, I think the Jackson Archer discussion is a good one because Jackson Archer come in at a speed that they said he couldn't handle. I think this is similar. There's a speed where you have no guarantees. When you enter the contest, you have no guarantees. Now, your opinion is, well, that's footy, and that's fine. But there is a flip side to it, which is going to be fought out in a legal sense down the path regarding concussion. And I just don't think we can say that's part of our game without copping the financial impact and the long-term impact to the game. So we've got to balance both things. Now, the fact that we've talked about it for 4 days is a win for the game. And we've thrashed out our own different thoughts, and if it stays in the game, well, so be it. But I'm as happy just to see it suspended and rubbed out. OK, we have to attack contests in a different manner. Michael Voss said exactly those words in the post-match on Saturday. He said, well, we coach our players to not go in at reckless speed because you just get yourself in trouble. You can't run a red light in essence. So there are conflicting views around the competition. This is the beauty of our game. You can see it differently. And the 3 or 4 people that are involved tonight, how they see it impacts tonight. But I don't think we'll get any great answers.
Yeah, that's the worry about what the verdict will get in a minute. Are we going to be absolutely clear on what a player can and can't do approaching a contest, or are we still going to be none the wiser?
Can I ask you a question then? Did he contest the ball in your view?
His sole intention when he left his man to attack the contest was to go after the footy. But I think there's a point in time for players that have seen that situation a lot. They know it. Gee, this is going to be fine line. So Michael Voss says when you know it's going to be fine line, you have to assess your duty of care to your opposition or run the red light. And if you miss, great. If you hit him, trouble.
All right, the wait is over. Big breaking news. Let's head into the newsroom with David Zita. The verdict's in. The biggest decision of a decade. Zeets, what have we got?
Thanks for helping me out, guys. They have upheld Stephen May's ban. It is a 3-match ban that has been upheld by the AFL tribunal. That was as lengthy a deliberation period as I can remember. Certainly this year, it's got it beaten by quite a length. Now the Ds have to decide whether they appeal or not. It was a lengthy deliberation. Ultimately, though, they found that Stephen May could and should have acted differently than he did in the circumstances. As I said, these reasons have just come through as we speak now. So they ultimately find he had a duty of care he did not fulfil effectively and to the extent that a reasonable player would in these specific circumstances. There was the Alex Pearce incident that was referenced. They said this was different in some aspects. And ultimately, Stephen May now a 3-match ban that is going to stand unless the Ds lodge an appeal and are successful.
So you run us through exactly what was put to the tribunal by Stephen May. What was his case? What was the questions that he was asked?
Well, he said, and he's always been very honest, Stephen May, sometimes to a fault. He said that he at all times thought he was going to get to the ball. The ball bounced. The last bounce of that ball went towards Evans. And now Stephen May said because the ball was skidding all night, he wasn't expecting the ball to come towards Evans. He was expecting it to come towards him. And that's why after this incident, you can see Stephen May put his arms out almost surprised. He said, I was shocked that this occurred. You can see it there. His arms go out. He is just flabbergasted that he has made contact with Evans in the way that he did. And it clearly rattled him. And Simon Goodwin said on 360 afterwards, it rattled him even when he went to the bench. And he was tonight. His evidence was categoric that he did not intend to bump. The AFL admitted he didn't intend to bump. They just said this was rough conduct. So it wasn't reasonable in the circumstances, taking the bumping action out of it. So he was adamant the whole way through that he has done nothing wrong and he had no other alternative than to do what he did on the night.
And Zeitz, you just said that the AFL said that he could and should have approached the contest differently. Did they give an explanation on what he should have done as an alternative to what he did do?
Well, they said he should have slowed his momentum or potentially changed his posture in the lead up to the incident. Now, the D's used the biomechanist to explain just how little time was left for him to make a decision in this instance. And ultimately, the AFL tribunal doesn't agree. Now, they have gone through an extensive list of reasons, which we'll publish later on, and I'm sure people will have their say on that. But ultimately, the AFL said he could and should have acted differently than he did in the circumstances. So clearly, he could have taken more care than he did in their eyes.
So this is coming back to the vision again. And I want to, after Stephen takes 3 steps, is where I want to pause it. So not about here. So if we just go back 3 frames, I reckon they're saying when you know contact is hot. No, back. Keep going back. Keep going back. When you can see him lower and start to really stride, really gather some about here.
But is that not a 50-50
Well, hang on. I'll finish and you can tear me apart, right? Here, they're saying now you have a duty of care. Right, so what happens from here, you make your own decisions. The game is now saying, if we roll that slowly now, you'll see he gathers momentum and then a collision of sorts is inevitable. The AFL are clearly saying the game has changed and you now have to assess your role and the duty of care to your opposition from there forward. So I fundamentally agree with that.
Slowing down 3 steps before the contest.
Just
as
when
opposed
you
to
know, when you can't be in control. If you're out of control arriving, having made that decision, you're in trouble, which I think's a good thing for the game, personally.
I think it's rubbish. I think it's 8 inches, that ball bounces the other way. Stephen May gets that ball.
Yeah, but that's the 8 inches we're arguing, right? I'm not saying... You're arguing that 8 inches. The AFL are arguing the decision to absolutely be going flat chat with a collision inevitable. You have to make sure you miss the head.
So, righto. So now we're clear, Joey.
Saying.
What they're saying now is we've got a contact sport into a caution sport. So you've got to approach that with caution.
Yeah, and tackle. They're going to say now saying that Stephen May has to decide that I'm going to slow down and wait for him to get the ball. He's saying I'm going to wait.
That's a fabric of our game.
That is a fabric game. He's saying I'm going to wait for a player to get the ball and then tackle him.
Or miss the head. Miss the head.
If you're going
to go for the ball, that you have to get lower than the head.
Hold that for a thought. Let's let David Zita go before we bash up everyone on this panel.
Destroy me.
Let's get back into the newsroom.
Zeke's come in here, please. I need help.
It's 2 on 1 in here.
Actually, stay there. You're not going to be much use by the look
Head-eye contact in the newsroom later on. Zeets, appreciate your efforts. It's been a long night for you. You can go home now, but Stephen May's been dealt the 3-week ban. Thanks very much.
Final word, Zeets. A good decision for the game or not, in your opinion?
I don't know if you can approach the contest in the way that he did in 2025, but I understand this was as difficult a call as the tribunal would have had to make, and the AFL in referring it here in the first place. Melbourne, I think, are well within their rights. I would say they would consider an appeal very strongly, given how significant this case is and given how long it took for the tribunal just to get to that outcome.